What if we could hit undo on extinction? I mean, really think about that. That's the wild scientific quest we're diving into today. The mission to bring back a creature that hasn't walked this planet for about 4,000 years. We're going to decode the science, the timeline, and the really big questions behind the return of the woolly mammoth. Just take a second and picture this. A shadow moves through the trees, the ground trembles a little, and you hear this deep, rumbling sound. This isn't just a scene from some blockbuster movie. It's the future that some of the world's top scientists are actually trying to build, right now. And this leads to a pretty stunning claim. Some biotech companies have basically thrown down the gauntlet, saying a mammoth-like calf could be born as early as 2025. I mean, is that just science fiction, or are we literally on the verge of a new prehistoric era? Okay, so to understand that really bold claim, we first have to get our heads around the core idea that makes any of this possible. So let's start with the basics of this incredible scientific frontier. The field is called de-extinction, and at its heart, it's exactly what it sounds like, the process of reviving a species that's completely vanished. That analogy of a biological time machine, it's perfect. It's like hitting the undo button on natural history, but, with a super sophisticated genetic editing lab. Now let's clear up the biggest misconception right away. We are not talking about finding a perfectly preserved mammoth in a block of ice and just thawing it out like in the cartoons. The goal is to create a functional proxy, an animal that looks like a mammoth, acts like a mammoth, and can survive in the Arctic like a mammoth, even if it's not a 100% genetic copy. So, how in the world do you actually do that? How do you conjure a creature from the Ice Age using modern tech? Well, the science is just fascinating. Let's take a look at the actual blueprint. The entire story really revolves around these two giants. On one side, you've got the Asian elephant. It's the mammoth's closest living cousin, so it provides the genetic template, sort of like the modern car chassis. On the other side, you have the woolly mammoth, which gives us the ancient blueprint for all the Ice Age upgrades we want to install. And this number right here, this is the reason this whole project is even possible. 99.6% DNA match. Genetically speaking, that's an incredibly small difference. It means scientists only need to tweak that tiny 0.4% to give an elephant all the key traits of a mammoth. So here's the game plan, step by step. First, scientists dig up frozen mammoth bones from the permafrost and pull out whatever fragmented DNA they can find. Then, they use supercomputers to digitally piece that ancient genetic puzzle back together. After that, using the famous gene editing tool CRISPR, they snip and paste key mammoth genes, like the ones for shaggy hair and thick layers of fat, into an Asian elephant cell. Finally, they create an embryo from that cell and implant it into a surrogate elephant mother. It's just a breathtakingly complex process. So what you get at the end of all this isn't a pure woolly mammoth clone. It's going to be a hybrid, a genetically modified Asian elephant that has mammoth traits. Scientists have even come up with a pretty cool name for it, a mammophant, basically a cold-resistant elephant. But here is one of the biggest roadblocks. A huge reality check. An elephant pregnancy lasts 22 months. That's almost 2 full years. This fact alone makes that 2025 deadline seem incredibly ambitious, right? It's a massive biological and logistical challenge that really puts the whole timeline into perspective. Which brings us to a huge question. With all this effort, all this money, why even do it? The answer is about a whole lot more than just scientific curiosity. It's part of a much, much bigger ecological vision. For the people pushing this, the ultimate goal is ecological restoration. See, back in the Ice Age, mammoths were what you'd call ecosystem engineers. They knocked down trees, grazed on grasses, and trampled the ground, and all that action maintained these huge, vast grasslands. The vision is that bringing them back could restore this mammoth steppe, which in turn could actually help fight climate change by keeping the permafrost frozen and locking away greenhouse gases. So, at the end of the day, the argument for de-extinction isn't about creating a spectacle for a theme park. It's framed as a serious tool for conservation and climate science. It's an attempt to turn back the clock on ecological damage by reintroducing a critical species to the Arctic tundra. But, and this is a really big but, just because we can do something doesn't automatically mean we should. And this project is absolutely surrounded by some profound ethical questions that we really have to think about. And the critics raise some really powerful points. For starters, is any of this fair to the animals involved? To the surrogate elephant mother? or to the first-of-its-kind calf that would be born without a mammoth herd to teach it how to be a mammoth? And what about the money? Could the millions being poured into this be better used to save the species that are on the brink of extinction today? Then there's the big one. Are we about to unleash an animal that could have totally unforeseen negative impacts on the modern Arctic? These are not easy questions to answer. It really boils down to this. The science is moving so fast, it's getting us to the can. We have the technology. But as a society, we are still way behind on grappling with the much trickier question of should. The tech is just moving faster than our ethics. Which leaves us with this final, powerful thought to chew on. Is de-extinction a visionary act of feeling the planet, a chance to fix a broken ecosystem, or is it a step too far, an act of hubris with consequences we can't possibly predict? As we get closer and closer to that 2025 date, this is the question we are all going to have to think about.